So you might have seen our recent video where we've done a full walkthrough on our train canopy, and that was just as it's stock standard. So we've gone and just done a bit of a fit out on it, just a basic fit out, just so we can start actually using it. And then when we get later on down the line, we'll do a full fit out on it, and then we can run through that. So we just thought we'd jump in, check out what we've done, just to do a bit of a basic setup, just to get us going. So starting at the back, so yeah, we've got the spare wheel bin carrier. So this is the one from Destination 4-wheel drive. Big benefit to this one is, like most of them these days, you can fit a bin in it just from Bunnings, which is really handy instead of just having everything just down the bottom. It just allows you to have a proper bin in it. You just pull it straight out. But the big benefit is it's just got this little Velcro here, so you can fully open this up. So instead of trying to pull the bin all the way from the top and trying to get it out the very top there, you can just fully open that up, unzip it, and then it just makes it a lot easier to get that bin in and out instead of having to just pull it straight from the top here and trying to get it all over the canvas and that. So that's a nice little feature that a lot of the others don't have, and they're obviously Australian made, which is obviously what we really like. So that's what we've gone and fitted to the spare wheel, is just the Destination 4-wheel drive one. And then just at the top on the wings on each side, we've just got some rear work lights, and they're just the rear, and then we've got left and right, so they're just off the switch on the power system inside the canopy, which we can show you later. So yeah, there's just a nice little work light. They're not too big, so they just fit into nice little tight spaces, and you don't really notice them so much. So that's what we really like about these ones, and they give off quite a lot of light. So they're an ultra flood, so they give a lot of spread to them, which is really important for those little work lights. So just fitted, yeah, 2 on each side, and then yeah, just the left and right as well, just all switched via the actual canopy. Then on top, we just got a rooftop tent. So this was a prototype that we actually designed, but yeah, we haven't really moved forward with it at this stage, just from the fact that we require so many different changes to make it to the standard that we wanted to, and then that would result in we need to order in quantity. We have to do pretty big bulk orders on them, so that's something that we haven't really looked at doing at this stage, just because we feel that yeah, it would be quite hard to bring them to market just with the amount of volume we need to purchase in one time, and we don't really have the ability to do that at this stage. So we just kind of put that on the back burner. And obviously, yeah, if anyone pays attention to a lot of the rooftop tents out there these days, they're all pretty much the exact same. You're pretty much just trying to compete on just like a branding instead of actually what's actually better on the market, because if you pay attention, they all pretty much look the exact same, have the same features. And if you pay close enough attention, you can pretty much tell that, oh, these ones all come from this factory, these ones all come from that factory. That's something we're not interested in doing, hence why we haven't just gone to a supplier overseas and just slapped our brand on it and just import them, because yeah, that's not really what we're about. We're about bringing products that actually make a big difference and are actually going to make them a lot more usable. So that's why I've just left the rooftop tent for the time being. And then that's same again for the shower awning just on the side. That's another prototype, but we haven't really moved forward with for those same reasons. So moving on to the canopy, so yeah, we've chucked our central locking locks onto there, so I think that's a must-have. I think it's, yeah, the worst thing ever if you've got to have 10 different keys to be able to lock everything and then unlock everything all the time. It's so much easier just to be able to do it off the key fob. And I think, yeah, having it off the actual factory key fob instead of a separate one, yeah, is massive. I hate having all these different keychains and that on my keys. That's just me personally. Having this massive pocket full of just like keys, I just can't stand it. So that's why I think wiring them off the factory key fob and having them centrally locked is just a must-have. So we've gone ahead and fitted those to that. And then, yeah, the one thing we personally like about these, you've got a couple different options out there, but these ones have the little solenoid on the back, and they're just a lot more reliable. A lot of them have like this moving part one, which is more for like window, like door ones on OEM cars, but they just got a lot of mechanical parts in it. We just find they fail a lot, and then you got to get them in a very specific window to get them to match up to like how all your bars work in that, because if it's got too much tension on it, it doesn't want to lock, not enough tension, and so on, where these is just a lot more reliable. The only thing we've found with them is just the actual square solenoid. You just want to make sure nothing is just touching that actual solenoid. If you put any sort of pressure on it, the solenoid just doesn't like it and it just won't operate. So as long as you have no pressure on the actual solenoid itself, they seem to work pretty reliably. And they make it a louder sound as well, which I personally like. Some people might not, but at least you know when you click it that you can hear it and you know that it's locked, instead of the other ones where they're quite quiet and you can't really tell. And move forward, we just put our strip lights on it as well. So there's the dual color ones, so that's just the white and then the amber. We can have the dual, and then yeah, they're just dimmable by just holding them. So yeah, we've gone for the 900s. We've got 3 options: 900, 600, and 300. But yeah, for canopy doors, especially when you've got the full-size canopy, I think the 900 is the way to go. May as well put a bigger one as possible on it, and then if it's too bright, you can just dim it down. But yeah, if you did want to go for a different option, you can go for a 600 and a 300 as well. Then moving into the actual canopy, so my personal opinion, when it comes to fridges, having an upright fridge and a drawer fridge is the best option. Chest fridges don't really work for me. I'm a bit too short, and especially if you've got a lifted car, it's too hard for me to try to get in there and actually see what's going on. And then you have to get a drop slide. Drop slides take up a lot of space. They're quite heavy. So I prefer to not have a chest fridge, and then I like the convenience of an upright fridge. But the downside to it is you don't get the storage space. So pairing an upright fridge with a drawer fridge like this, especially when it's a 40 litre, this is the one from Evercool, just gives you so much space that you can put all your drinks and extra food into here, and then all the stuff that you're getting to on a daily basis or using quite often, you put in the upright fridge. I just think it's the best way to do it personally. So that's why we've got the 2 fridges there. Then just on the wall is just our power system. So that's just the Prospector. That's the one with the 2 kVA. So yeah, it's got a 2000 watt inverter, and then the 80 amp AC charger. And then everything else for the Prospector is the same between the 2 and the 3 kVA. The inverter is the only thing that changes. So then yeah, you got your solar input there. So if you've got a blanket, like what we had on over the weekend, plugged into that, and it was charging up because you currently don't have any fixed solar. So that was a nice handy feature to be able to plug it straight into there. You haven't got to stuff around with anything else. Got a nice 1 Anderson output there. Then you got your AC inlet there, so you just plug your shore power straight into there. It'll kick on that AC charging. Got your 1 GPO, 1 dual USB, and then 1 SIG socket, and then you've got your RCDs up on the top there. So if you have any dramas with your AC, it's just nice and easy. Just got to get to it straight away, hit your breakers, and it just makes it super accessible. Then located just inside, and then normally doesn't have the clear cover on it. But we took this to the show, so we just had the clear cover on so you can actually see what's inside. A lot of people like to hide their wiring away because they just pretty much just slam it in there and just try to get it done quick and easy, where we take a bit of pride in trying to do it. So that's why we really wanted to showcase how we actually wire our stuff, because I think it makes a big difference personally. So that's why that one's got a clear cover, but normally it's just a full solid cover and you can't see in. Obviously, if you did want a clear one, you could go for it, but I mean, even me personally on my car, I wouldn't go for the clear one, I just go the black one. Even though it does look pretty nice behind there. But just have the actual Egan hub there, so that's where your fusing is. So if you never need to replace any fusing, you know straight away where to go to. They're all just there. And then it's got a little LED light that will illuminate and tell you that fuse is blown. And then located just under that is the little fuse box for the power switch as well. Well, the switch console that we've got in this one. So same thing. Anything that's switched by that unit will be all fused in there. So you can just pull that cover off straight away, and then you just replace the fuse. Makes it super simple, and then everything's labeled. So number 1 fuse just goes to switch 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, and so on. And it just keeps all the fuse in that one place instead of having to try to find a fuse over there, fuse over there, fuse over there. We just keep it all in the same place, makes it super simple. And then you've got your chargers behind that, which is just the one for the solar, which is an MPPT 150 we put in there. And then we've got the Orion 50 charger in there as well. And then the servo for the touchscreen and that runs all that stuff. And then just on the back wall, we've also got just the EcoX soundbar. So that's just a nice little thing so you can just play music. We had this car at the show and we were just using that all weekend just to play a bit of music, which was nice. And then you can sync them all up to each other. So if a few other people do have them, you'll be able to sync them all together, and then you can crank it if you really wanted to. But then yeah, they've got some nice little RGB lights as well that go off, which is pretty nice in the night time. That's pretty much everything on this side, so we'll jump to the other side and check out over there. Yeah, so jumping over to the passenger side, so we've just got the 85 Bushman upright that we spoke about before, and then that's just powered straight from the actual system there, so we just run it straight into the box underneath. We've got a few pre-drilled holes that just makes it easy to be able to add extra cables into and run your fridge wires in, so it just goes into that and then straight to the DC hub, so it's just powered from there. You obviously could power it off the power switch if you wanted to switch your fridges on and off, but me personally, I just think, yeah, I'd like to just run them all the time, and especially if you've got solar and if you're driving it every day, I think it's just the best bet just to leave them always powered on, no need to switch them off. And then that way, yeah, you can always keep cold drinks in there as well. So, you know, when you're not using it, it's just nice to have a cold drink in there. Then on the actual power system here, so you've got the Touch 50 display for the Victron system. Same as always, shows you all your loads coming in, all your charging, and then, yeah, shows you the percentage of the battery as well, what your inverter's doing. That's how you switch the inverter on and off. And then you can just display everything there. which we've run through a few videos before how to use it. So if you're interested in that, you can obviously check them out to see exactly how to control the actual Touch 50. Then below that is just our switch panel. So we're only using 4 of these right now. So we've got the internal lights just on a switch there. So we've just got the 4 down lights. Just didn't want to have like strip LEDs. I just thought some little down lights would look a lot nicer. And then I plan on putting false walls and then false roof on it as well. So I just thought down lights would look a lot nicer instead of having a little strip light on top of the actual roof. Just to be able to recess a little down light would be nicer. That's why we've just gone for the down lights there for the internal lighting, and then you just got 2, which is just the left work lights, 3 is the rear, and then 4 is the right work light. So that's just all switched from there, and then we've got 4 spare switches there we can use moving forward. And then underneath that is just the same as the other side. So we've got the USB-C twin, and then we also got a SIG socket there, and then we've got a twin 10 amp GPO, and we've got a single 15 amp GPO. So it's for those people that are using big induction cookers. They just need a 15 amp on it, so you can just plug straight into there. But most of the time you only need one of those 10s on there, so that's why we've got the 2 options. But yeah, if you obviously don't have a 15 amp outlet that you have any requirements for, we could just swap it for 2 twin 10s, and then you got 4 of them in total. But yeah, in case you do have a big induction cooker, you can just plug it straight into that 15 amp outlet there. We just run the 200 amp battery on this one for now, just with the 2 kVA multi-plus. You can get away with just the 200 on it. It can run it quite easily. You obviously just don't have as much power moving forward, and if you want to stay camped up for long periods of time, you might find out that you run out of power. But me personally, I'm going to have solar on top, and then yeah, I'm going to be driving pretty much most days. I don't really stay camped for too long. Even if I'm going to be in an area for a while, I usually take my car out every single day, so I can get the charge there. So 200 is more than enough. But if you did want to obviously run quite a lot more off it, or stay camped up for longer, you might need a bit more battery power. So that's why we're just going for the 200 on that one. Same thing, got the canopy lights, strip lights on the doors there. And then just on the roof, you might notice that we just put a lot of these Uni-Strut covers on, and that's just where we've run all the cabling. So that's a nice function to be able to having all the Uni-Strut everywhere. It's kind of a 2-function thing. You can either use it to mount stuff off the roof, or if you just want to run cables through, we'll just put all holes everywhere where the Uni-Strut actually connects to each other. It's just got all holes through everywhere. So it just allows you to be able to run all your cables through there and be able to hide it. And then you can just put these little covers over the top of it, and you never know that the wiring is there. So that's a nice function. And that's the big reason why we wanted to have Uni-Strut everywhere. Just really makes it easy to mount stuff. And then you're able to run all your cables through there and hide all your cables quite nicely. So we've only done that on the ones that we've run the actual cable. We didn't bother doing it on every single one, just because we're not going to leave it like this. We're obviously going to have that false skin that's going to go up there, so all that's going to come off anyway, so we didn't bother putting it on all of it. We only just put it where we were actually running the cable, just to be able to hide the cable and stop the cable from actually dropping down. But yeah, it's just a really nice thing, because yeah, you can obviously run all this stuff everywhere and you don't know how the cabling's actually got there, and that's a big thing for us. I really like being able to put stuff in there, and people are like, oh, how the hell did you do that, and how did you get it there? It's just a nice little thing, instead of seeing all these cables run everywhere. And the other thing we're just going to do as well is, as we noticed when we mounted the fridge, the Uni-Strut on the actual floor is just slightly not in the right location. We're just going to move it back 80 mil, just the outside ones, and then we'll just center the middle one between the actual centered one and the outside one, just in between those two, because we just found that if you wanted to use it to actually mount the upright fridge, you can do it. It's just it gets extremely close to the actual skin of the door when it's closed, so it just barely clears. So it's fine for most applications, but if you wanted to put like any sort of insulation in there, or if you wanted to put a false skin over the top of it just to be able to hide anything, you're going to actually hit on the fridge there. So we just want to be able to push it back and then still be able to use these Uni-Struts, but we couldn't push it back any further just from the fact that it would end up resulting in we'd have these brackets that would come about that far out in front of the actual fridge, and just, yeah, it would look a bit terrible. So that's why we mounted it the way we did. But in future ones, yeah, we're just going to move that Uni-Strut back 80 mil, measure that's how much we need to move it back by, and then we'll still be able to use the actual Uni-Strut itself, and then save you from actually having to drill into the actual floor. But yeah, it's just one of those things you find out when you come to do it, what works and what doesn't work. Especially for us, we don't use a huge amount of Uni-Strut here, even when it comes to the false floor. We prefer just to drill in the exact location where we want it and put a nutsert in, but we've got all the tooling here to do it, so it just makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, moving forward, if we can get all this Uni-Strut in the exact location, it's going to work well for us. Saves us from having to drill, do extra work, and obviously saves the end user as well, having to do any of that stuff, because obviously Uni-Strut's a lot easier to how to mount everything, and then just allows us to push it back so it's in a nicer location, and then just kills that dead space between the two fridges there as well. May as well utilize this for something like just putting some stuff down, or allow us to be able to put a drawer in there for like a cutlery drawer or something, because obviously you've got a little bit of gap there, so that'll be a nice little thing. That's pretty much most of how we've fitted this one out. So yeah, we'll run this for a little bit, just until we get a little bit of extra time. Then we'll strip it out, and then we'll do the full install for everything. We plan on having a full drawer system, cutlery drawer, another drawer on the other side, maybe a little pantry or kitchen setup on this side. Not 100% sure yet. We'll have to scan the whole interior and then see what we can fit in there. And then, yeah, we might look at maybe slightly adjusting the power system to suit the canopy. Well, we're obviously undecided on that. Yeah, we'll just have to scan it all and then just go from there. And then, yeah, we'll put insulation in it, the false walls. And then, yeah, we'll have to see what we do. We're leaning towards potentially maybe I'll paint all that stuff white just to make it a little bit lighter in here. Black's obviously pretty dark. Black suits most cars, and that's why we've obviously done it black. But when you're in there, it gets pretty dark in there. So maybe the drawer setup, we might go for white. But, yeah, we're undecided on that. We'll see what happens there. But then, yeah, we'll probably chuck some decking down as well, just to try to protect everything and stop it from scratching, and just try to keep it looking nicer for as long as possible. But yeah, that's pretty much everything on the canopy fit out for now. When we do those second updates and the final fit out for it, we'll do another update on that. And then, yeah, once we finalize the tray, fitting all that out, we'll do another video on that. So if you're interested, definitely keep an eye on our social media for when we release those videos, and we'll catch you on the next one.